gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's June the 15th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by Life Wallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, I'm going to get right to the point today. I'm not going to talk about all the crazy stuff of yesterday because too many people got riled up, and we have some very significant news of the day today. So I'm going to jump right to it and start with the decommitment from Clemson of Nathaniel Ray Joseph last night. Big deal for Miami. I think it's a clear sign that he will eventually, more than likely, become a Miami Hurricane. It was time after his appearance at the Mario Cristobal camp over the weekend, I think, to end the game playing and all that, and the demands of Clemson and all that, and just, create a clean slate for himself. So he's no longer committed to Clemson. He's very much engaged with Miami. He set up an official visit in tandem with his decommitment. Your thoughts on where things stand now with Ray after last night?
Yeah, nothing different than what we've been saying. I mean, I keep telling everyone that I've been saying it for a while. He's going to be a Hurricane, and so is Mark Fletcher. I mean, this is nothing. This is not a surprise. I know fans get excited because he officially did it. But, if the old staff had recruited him, he would have committed there anyway. It's just the new staff wasn't here when he committed to Clemson. It was just a matter of time. So he's going to come
here. The writing's been on the wall for a long time.
Yeah, so he's going to come here for Legends Camp. He actually has been visiting fairly regularly under the radar. Just he asked us not to report it. Now it doesn't matter. He doesn't care. So, he told us at one point, don't report it because Clemson's tripping. I put some of the quotes in the story from his previous messages to us that we never reported before. So it's kind of funny, Clemson's tripping and they don't want to take visits and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, it was ridiculous what Clemson was doing. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. How do you tell a recruit not to do what might be in his best interest? So, look, he's going to wind up a Miami Hurricane. He thinks a lot more offers will be coming in or a lot more interest will be coming in, whatever it is. He named a few schools that are in it now along with Miami, but it honestly doesn't matter. Whenever he wants to announce, it'll be for Miami. I mean, he's a stronger commitment to Miami right now than some of the Miami commitments. I have no doubt he's coming here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. So great development for the Hurricanes. Obviously one of the better recruits from South Florida this year. So, things are tracking really well now with Nathaniel Joseph, and nothing bad about that. All right, Matt, there's a big camp today out at the U, and several of the top local prospects will be checking in out there, and maybe in some of these cases, things will trend the way they are going with Ray Joseph here after his appearance on campus on Saturday. It's kind of like an individual camp, so they can work guys out. I'm expecting Chris Johnson from Fort Lauderdale-Dillard out there today. Jalen Brown, the receiver from Gulliver, I'm expecting him out there. Andy Jean from Miami Northwestern, another receiver, I think he'll be out there working out. I believe Damari Brown is going to make an appearance out there on campus at some point. And I think Robbie Washington will be out there as well. I don't know if he'll work out, but he'll be there. And kind of a chance for the coaches, Matt, to bring all these kids together. They're all very high priority recruits. We've seen many times in the past how if these kids can bond with each other, it can have a very significant impact on recruiting. And I think that's a lot of what's going to be going on today at the U.
Well, I respectfully disagree. Obviously, that's very important, but they changed the rules with the NCAA. So you only can do individual workouts on camp days. There's only 3 active camp days Miami's going to have now. And one of them is Legends Camp, where they're not going to have time to work at anyone individually. So really, there's only 2 dates. So this isn't a chance for these players to bond. This is a chance for these players to bond with the coach at their position and actually be coached. And if a coach at Miami can tell a recruit who's not committed, show them something new, and that recruit's like, wow, I wish I knew that last year. That's the kind of thing. Like, recruits aren't going to Miami to be friends with guys. Recruits are going to Miami to become NFL players. And this is their chance to work one-on-one with a Miami Hurricanes coach who will be coaching them in their minds for 3 to 5 years. And this is it. This is what it's about. It's not about being friends and, hey, everyone come to Miami together and let's keep South Florida home. No, today and the next camp that they're going to have is about get to know the coaches and learn from the coaches, in these clinic type situations, and in this case, individual workouts, and just go from there. Like, that's all you can do. The more times you get these guys on campus, the better. But those other visits, that's social hour and whatever. This is about get to work. We're going to show you what it's going to be like if you come here and what we can teach you to make you an NFL player. That's what today is about.
All right. And while you respectfully disagree, I'm going to respectfully disagree with your disagreement. And I think it's good for these kids to bond with each other if the goal is to make them all Miami Hurricanes, which it is. So I think there'll be some of that going on too. They play for different teams. I'm sure they've all run into each other, obviously, from time to time at different things and stuff. But this is a chance in a nice setting at the U for them to also interact with each other. And that's a good thing. All right, now let's talk about the big news, which was the tight end commitment of Jackson Carver. We've got 3 stories about this on the website this morning. We got a story about the commitment initially. We've got an analysis story talking to Jackson Carver's coach. And then we also have a story this morning with the inside story of how it all came together and the improbable road that Jackson Carver has taken to becoming a Miami Hurricane. And I think the whole recruitment of tight ends at Miami in this cycle is interesting, and I think it's a good topic for us to address on today's show. So basically, there's 3 tight ends that are, very, very much in the forefront of Miami's recruiting at that position. There's Carver, who is now a commit. There's Reed McKeska, who visited this past weekend. And then there's Riley Williams, who is scheduled to visit next weekend. And I think that I would consider the Jackson Carver commit a first blow, kind of, so to speak, the first a salvo into the deal, because I think, contrary to what you believe, I had to throw that in. I think Miami coaches are pretty honest with these recruits, and I think that they understand that there are 2 slots for tight ends in this class, and there are 3 or more guys that are in the running for those slots. And if you want to be a Miami Hurricane, and you want to be a Miami Hurricane, you better jump on board and commit to us and shut it down and take one of those slots. And I think that's what Jackson Carver did yesterday. He canceled several visits that he was supposed to take moving forward. He felt after his Miami visit that Miami was the place he wanted to be, and he committed. Okay, so now, Matt, I'll ask your opinion on that. And then also, how does this affect Reed McKeska with 1 commit now locked in? There's 1 slot left, and Riley Williams set to visit Miami this next weekend. Personally, Matt, if I'm Reed McKeska, if I want to go to Miami, I'm jumping on the boat this week. Your thoughts?
Right. I mean, this is the way you do good recruiting. I mean, all 3 of these kids think Miami wants them more than anyone else in the world. And there's no pecking order, 1, 2, or 3, unlike a quarterback, right? Where, 1 guy knows he's number 3. And so 2 of these guys are going to commit. 2 of these 3 guys, I think, will commit. And the reason there's no issues here is, A, they all think they're the number 1 guy on the board. B, the presentation they're getting from the University of Miami offensive staff, including Josh Gaddis, is look at my film from Michigan. We used 3 tight ends in games. Yeah, we have Jaleel Skinner and Elijah Arroyo coming back, who are top tight end prospects, but we're going to use a 3rd guy. They'll be gone after a couple of years if they're good enough, and if they're not good enough, you'll be ahead of them. So by the time you're a sophomore, redshirt sophomore, somewhere in there, you're going to be the guy at tight end U in our offense, which shows tight ends and what they can do in this offense. And so there's no reason a top tight end and another top tight end won't come in this class. You know, you will keep. It sounds like you wanted to sort of harken it back to the quarterback recruiting. Totally different situation because you play three tight ends, you play one quarterback. So it's a lot easier to get two tight ends than to get two quarterbacks. But I do think, you know, I talked to Reed McKeska yesterday. Obviously, after this commitment, he said it affects him not at all. And he wants to decide in the next day or two. So today or tomorrow, I assume we'll hear something. And, you know, it's Miami and Oklahoma. I think Miami is a better fit for him. I think he understands that. But I think Oklahoma's trying to change that. And that's why he hasn't announced anything yet. But he's well aware that there's a guy who's a tight end who's going to take an official visit this weekend. So if he pushes this back and doesn't make a decision this week, that wouldn't bode well for Miami. I think if he decides this week, there's a great chance he'll pick Miami.
All right. I'm not going to speculate on Riley Williams and whether if McKeska jumps into the Miami ship, how that impacts his visit this weekend and all that. That'll be for later in the week if that happens. But McKeska could say all he wants that this doesn't affect him, but he's also saying he's going to probably decide the next couple of days. So I think it does affect him, and I think it does put an urgency on him making a decision. And it's going to be very interesting to see which one he makes. If he decides to go to Oklahoma, I think that the commitment yesterday will have a little bit to do with that, at least a little bit. But we'll see what happens. You know, I still think that Reed, there's a reasonable chance he picks Miami as well. We'll see what happens. If he doesn't, then all attention goes to Riley Williams this weekend, and he'll get the opportunity to be the second tight end in the class if everything goes well on the visit. So tight end recruiting looks, Matt, like it's coming together in a very tidy fashion. And really right now, I would say the one position where it is coming together very tidy. There seems to be, you know, obviously a lot of flux and uncertainty in most other positions, but I think a lot of that's going to clear itself up here in the next few weeks of June as they wind down a lot of these visits and things like that. So it'll be very interesting to see how that unfolds. All right, so we've got literally 3 stories on the website about Carver. You got a story about his commitment. You got an analysis story where we spoke to his coach about him and what kind of player Miami is getting. And then a third story this morning on an inside look on his road to Miami and the improbable journey that he took to a football scholarship. So you got 3 stories. Make sure you read all 3 of them, and you will come away feeling like you know Miami's new tight end commitment extremely, extremely well. And then, of course, like Matt mentioned, we do have the story on Reed McKeska, and we point blank asked Reed how he was affected by Jackson Carver's commitment. So you could read that story as well and get a full understanding of where that stands. All right, there's a couple other subjects that we need to cover today. But first, let's hear from our friends at LifeWallet.
We here at LifeWallet take security very seriously. Our data security team is working constantly to make sure that your data is not accessed by anybody who you don't authorize.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, I'm
Excuse me, sir. Thank you.
I have a conversation, and he's thinking about it, and I'll be talking to CC. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We use leading technology standards like biometric data to make sure that only you have access to your data and your identity is protected. LifeWallet gives you access to your entire medical history and information at the touch of your finger so that it can save you time and can save your life.
Data transfer complete.
All right, Matt, can you continue on here with a couple other stories that we have? Another story that we have on the website today. The story of 2024 defensive tackle Aiden Breland, he first landed an offer from Mario Cristobal when he attended an Oregon camp as a 7th grader. Okay. And anybody that thinks that these youth camps that they have are insignificant, like the one that Miami had on Sunday, they are not insignificant at all. Young kids as early as 7th grade, sometimes even earlier, can really stand out. One that I always remember in this case was a kid by the name of Sony Michel. He was a great running back, ended up going to Georgia, ended up playing in the NFL. That was a kid that is as early as early in middle school, you could just tell was going to be a great football player. And sometimes you could tell. And this kid gets a commitment, gets an offer rather from Mario Cristobal when he's a 7th grader attending the Oregon football camp. Now he's obviously older, and he's got an offer from Cristobal in Miami again. So don't miss that story as well. Another note, word came out yesterday that John Ruiz met with the NCAA to kind of lay out exactly what he was doing with Life Wallet and kind of educate them a little bit on his NIL program that is so widespread, and explain why he is signing so many athletes to the Life Wallet stable in terms of NIL. So that was something that came up. Some people wanted to call it an investigation. I don't believe it's an investigation. I believe the NCAA just simply is trying to figure out how to manage NIL going forward. And nobody has been more active in the country than John Ruiz and Life Wallet. So natural place for them to go and start getting an education. Now, of course, if they found violations, that would be a different story. But I think, John Ruiz he's an attorney. He studied the laws before he got started in NIL. And, I think that the Miami NIL program has really been kind of like a prototypical NIL program for those around the country. And I think it's a good thing that the NCAA is choosing to talk to him and build a relationship there, and maybe get to know a little bit more just on the execution of NIL. So we'll continue to follow that story as well. All right, well, that's going to do it for today. A little short and sweet show. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you so much for starting your day with us once again, and have a good one, and we'll see you next time, everybody.